Joelle Fanghanel is Professor of Higher Education and Director of the Institute for Teaching, Innovation and Learning at the University of West London. She has been leading academic development centres for over 10 years, including at the University of Leicester and the City University London. Her research is focused on academic identities and disciplinary cultures, academic work and education for a globalized world. Her recent book, Being an Academic, examines the impact of higher education policies on academic practices. You talk critically about a multiculturalistic approach to global citizenship that is based on a notion of identity and difference, which you think is often expressed in pedagogical initiatives in higher education. Why do you prefer the concept of Hannah Arendt, the concept of worldliness, to use it in your concept of worldly pedagogy? Like, what are the main reasons for your preference?
Okay, the reason I prefer the worldly pedagogies to talking about global citizenship is that the notion of global citizenship has a lot of complex political and non-political implications, connotations. So it seems to me that I want to talk about education for a common world, as I've expressed in my presentation, that notion from Hannah Arendt, with a view to making sure that we don't lose touch with two things. One, the plurality of different perspectives in the educational encounter, both for students and for the lecturers too. And also the idea of commonness, that there is a commonality of living in this common world. So that's probably why I prefer this notion.
Okay. But you're also skeptical of the concept of global citizenship, as you also stated in your presentation. Could you please stress some of your main reservations to some of the concepts there?
I think it's a concept that is connoted in very different ways, and we need to probably be a bit more clearer. I quite like the idea of, at the same time, providing a clearer concept, but also a concept that enables people to actually put in it what is of relevance to their context.
Okay. You discuss your concept of worldly pedagogy with reference to the project carried out in the UK with students from Israel and Palestine, and they were housed in the same accommodation for 3 years. That's really interesting setup for the study, and I was interested in whether you did observe any group dynamics, exclusion of students, or the build-up of friendship, or was it mainly an intellectual exchange? Did they mainly understand their point of view, but did it not affect also how they treated each other?
You must remember that it was not an observational study, so I wasn't there sitting observing how they behaved. It was about their understanding of what benefits they had obtained from being in that situation. So much of the work was actually about trying to draw out from my conversations with them, which were long and quite long and extensive conversations, that I wanted to draw from them what was in the environment that they had experienced that made them become what they became within these 3 years. So it was more, and it was a reflective sort of encounter with my respondents. So it was more about them telling me what the experience was for them, and therefore my then inferring what it meant for what I wanted to know about this environment. Yeah?
You also argue that leaving the home country and the real world the students belong to, is an important factor for worldly pedagogy. Would you say that going abroad is essential for having this experience, for for practicing this kind of worldly pedagogy, or is there some way that this kind of educational environment can be, well, not produced, but set up also at the national universities for the students there, or is it necessary to go abroad to experience this kind?
Just put it back into context. I was talking about the fact that they were abroad with reference to the concept of distanciation that Jason Hill has examined, and how there needs to be that distanciation and also participation, and that it's the interplay between the two that actually provides the space for beliefs to be questioned, but also to envisage new ways of seeing. So it was more at that level that I was talking about distanciation. Now, I don't know that it is necessary to leave home to become a better, a more enlightened learner. However, as you leave home, you have to bring with you so many skills and develop so many new ways of doing things that necessarily it makes you a different person, and it is probably a more striking experience than it would be to stay at home. So that would be my perception. Yeah.
Okay. So I assume you're a strong supporter of exchange programs for students.
Definitely. Yes, indeed. Yes.
My last question also concerns the dislocation of the students somehow.
Right.
The Palestinian and Israeli participants of the program reported that they found it very difficult to go back to, that they felt some kind of dislocation and isolation. And I think also in your article you talk about maybe implementing some kind of preparation before they re-entered their home communities. Yes. And I was just wondering, like, how could you imagine some kind of program prior to their re-entry? And also, do you think that it would need some other kinds of follow-up measures also when they're already back?
So I think you've already answered my question, in fact, in your question. I think it was you're making reference to a strictly pedagogical point here, which is that it is necessary to prepare students for changing from one context into another. It doesn't matter whether you're coming from a very, what would look like a relatively traumatic context or not. I think it is just generally very wise to be attentive to any transition in the life cycle of a student, whether they move from a place to another or from a stage to another. Those are always very difficult periods that can be enhanced through bringing in some kind of pedagogical support, or social support, or preparation of some kind to be able to harness the challenges of that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you for your time and thank you for your answers.